The roar of the engine shook the sky as the SBD Helldiver tipped forward into its dive.
Represented a
From
giant leap
thousands
in
of feet
technology.
above the ocean, the pilot locked his sights on a Japanese warship, his stomach pressed tight against the straps as the plane hurtled down.
Up until then, bomber
The world
aircraft dropped their
outside the
payloads from a
canopy
level
blurred
altitude.
into streaks of blue sky and black smoke. Seconds felt like hours. Then, with a pull of the release, the bomb dropped free, slicing through the air before striking the enemy vessel with a thunderous explosion that shook the sea itself. For the men inside those cockpits, it was not just a mission, it was survival, sacrifice, and the belief that their courage could change the course of history. Many of you watching today remember those years, the headlines, the radio broadcasts, the faces of friends and family who served. The Helldiver was not a perfect machine. It was heavy, difficult, and feared as much by its pilots as by the enemy below. Yet, when the moment came, it delivered destruction with terrifying precision. This is the story of the Helldiver, the beast of the skies that descended like an avenging angel. Stay with me as we relive the legacy of the aircraft that earned its name as the true dive bomber from hell. When the echoes of Midway still hung heavy over the Pacific in 1942, America celebrated a stunning victory. The aging SBD Dauntless dive bomber had crippled Japan's carriers and shifted the balance of the war. Yet, even in triumph, the Navy understood a hard truth. The Dauntless was already nearing the end of its usefulness. It was too slow, too light, and lacked the range and power demanded by the battles still to come. The war was entering a new phase, one where Japan's Navy remained formidable and the skies above the Pacific demanded an aircraft that could deliver more weight, travel farther, and strike with greater force. Out of that urgency came a call for a new design. The Curtiss-Wright Corporation answered with an ambitious project, a bigger, faster, more heavily armed successor that could carry larger bombs deep into enemy waters. This new plane would become the SB-2C Helldiver. But its birth was anything but smooth. Early prototypes stumbled, engines faltered, test flights revealed flaws so glaring that many questioned whether it would ever be fit for combat. Crews muttered bitter nicknames, calling it the son of a bitch second class. Still, beneath the frustration and disappointment, there was determination. America was fighting for survival, and giving up was never an option. From this difficult beginning, forged in doubt and necessity, the Helldiver would emerge. The story you're about to follow is not just about a machine, but about resilience, the relentless drive to improve, to adapt, and to prepare for the brutal tests of war still waiting on the horizon. From its troubled beginnings, the Helldiver grew into a machine that embodied both the ambition and the flaws of wartime innovation. Larger than its predecessor, the Dauntless, the Helldiver was designed with a longer fuselage, folding wings to fit the cramped decks of aircraft carriers, and a cockpit that housed not just the pilot, but also a gunner who doubled as a radio operator. It looked imposing even at rest, its frame hinting at the heavy load it was meant to carry into battle. At its heart was the Wright R-2600 Cyclone engine, a powerhouse capable of propelling the aircraft at speeds over 290 miles per hour. For a dive bomber, that speed meant a chance to reach its target faster, survive longer, and escape enemy fire with just a bit more hope. Beneath its belly, the Helldiver could carry a bomb load of up to 2,000 pounds, twice that of the Dauntless, along with wing-mounted machine guns and forward-firing .50 caliber guns. It was, in theory, the very embodiment of American industrial strength, faster, tougher, deadlier. But the same size and weight that gave the Helldiver its muscle also created problems. Pilots complained that it was difficult to handle, sluggish at low speeds, and demanding during carrier landings. Some even cursed its tendency to stall or lose stability in sharp maneuvers. And yet, once the dive began, nose pointed down, bomb bays open, the Helldiver delivered with terrifying precision. Its air brakes allowed pilots to steady their descent almost vertically, guiding their bombs onto enemy decks with an accuracy that earned both respect and fear. The Helldiver was not a perfect aircraft, but it was powerful, rugged, and relentless. It asked much of the men who flew it, and in return, It gave them the means to strike at the heart of the enemy fleet. Its very design was a reflection of the war itself, flawed, costly, but capable of extraordinary results when pushed to the limit. For all its promise on paper, the true test of the Helldiver came not in the factories or test flights, but in the crucible of combat. In late 1943, the aircraft made its first appearance over Rabaul, one of Japan's most heavily defended strongholds in the South Pacific. The results were far from glorious. Mechanical issues plagued the squadrons, landing accidents claimed aircraft before they even reached the front, and pilots struggled with the Helldiver's heavy handling. What was supposed to be the Navy's next great weapon was quickly earning a reputation as a burden. Crews gave it a cruel nickname, the Beast, a reflection of how difficult it was to tame in the air. Reports filtered back with frustration and anger. Some commanders questioned whether the Helldiver would ever match the reliability of the Dauntless, the very plane it was designed to replace. And yet, in the chaos of those first missions, there were glimpses of potential. When the Helldiver managed to line up its target and release its payload, the destruction it unleashed was undeniable. This rocky baptism of fire was a sobering reminder that no weapon of war is born perfect. The Helldiver demanded patience, adaptation, and relentless determination from its pilots and crews. They had to learn its quirks, endure its flaws, and coax from it the performance it was capable of. And as the months went on, that perseverance began to pay off. Slowly, the Beast started to prove that in the right hands it could live up to its fearsome name. The stage was set for the Helldiver to carve its place in the great naval battles that still lay ahead. From its painful baptism of fire, the Helldiver was thrust almost immediately into some of the most decisive naval battles of the Pacific War. The aircraft that many had doubted would ever succeed suddenly found itself at the center of operations that would determine the fate of nations. If its first missions revealed its flaws, the great battles of 1944 and 1945 would prove its true power. The first great test came in June 1944 at the Battle of the Philippine Sea. Japanese carrier air power was still formidable, and the Imperial Navy launched wave after wave of aircraft to blunt America's advance. What followed would later be remembered as the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot, a lopsided slaughter of Japanese planes by U.S. Hellcats and supporting aircraft. While the fighters earned most of the headlines, the Helldivers played their part with brutal efficiency. Diving nearly straight down, they unleashed bombs that tore into Japanese carriers and cruisers, crippling ships that had once terrorized the Pacific. Though their reputation among pilots remained mixed, the Helldivers showed in this battle that they could strike hard and strike true. Only months later, in October 1944, came the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the largest naval engagement in history and the turning point of the Pacific War. Here, the Helldiver's role was nothing short of decisive. As Japanese battleships surged to challenge the U.S. landings in the Philippines, Helldivers joined forces with Avengers and Hellcats in wave after wave of coordinated strikes. Over the waters of the Sibuyan Sea, they plunged down upon the mighty Musashi, sister ship to the Yamato and one of the most powerful battleships ever built. Time and again, Helldivers' bombs crashed onto her decks, blasting apart turrets, superstructure, and armor plating. Alongside torpedoes from Avengers, those hits sealed Musashi's fate. By nightfall, the giant had rolled to her side and disappeared beneath the waves, a symbol of Japan's fading naval power. For the men who flew those missions, the memory of Musashi's destruction was indelible. They had seen with their own eyes the mightiest warship in the world, humbled not by other battleships, but by aircraft, by their Helldivers, the very machines they had once cursed. The message was clear. The age of the big gun had ended, and the age of carrier aviation had arrived. The Helldiver's story did not end at Leyte. In 1945, as American forces closed in on Japan itself, the Helldiver once again proved essential during the invasion of Okinawa. Kamikaze attacks turned the skies into chaos, and every plane that could deliver bombs or defend the fleet was desperately needed. Helldivers dove relentlessly against Japanese positions, sinking ships, shattering airfields, and pounding fortifications that threatened the invasion. Each mission was grueling. Each dive demanded steady nerves and precise control. But with every target destroyed, the Helldiver etched its legacy deeper into the war. These battles were not just about machines, they were about the men inside them. Pilots and gunners who had once doubted their aircraft now found pride in what it could do. They had learned to wrestle with its flaws, to coax from it the deadly precision that only came through courage and persistence. And in the crucible of these decisive engagements, the Helldiver became more than just an airplane. It became a symbol of American resilience, an imperfect beast that nonetheless delivered victory in the Pacific's greatest tests of fire. The destruction wrought by the Helldiver in those decisive battles carried consequences far beyond the immediate explosions and sinking ships. Its role helped cement a transformation in naval warfare that had been building since Pearl Harbor, the shift from battleships to aircraft carriers as the true power on the seas. By striking Musashi, crippling Japanese carriers, and pounding enemy strongholds at Okinawa, the Helldiver proved that even the most heavily armored warship could be brought to its knees by precision bombing from the sky. The once unshakable confidence in steel hulls and massive guns was shattered, and with it, the very doctrine of surface supremacy that had guided naval strategy for decades. This was more than a tactical victory. It was a turning point in the philosophy of war. The Helldiver and its fellow carrier aircraft demonstrated that mobility, range, and air power would dictate the outcome of future conflicts. America's ability to build, refine, and deploy aircraft like the Helldiver showed not only industrial might but also adaptability, the willingness to embrace new forms of warfare even when early results were disappointing. Out of frustration and doubt had emerged a weapon that delivered clarity about the future. The legacy of the Helldiver lies not only in the battles it won, but in the standard it helped set. Its successes under fire validated the carrier as the centerpiece of modern fleets and ensured that naval aviation would dominate the seas from that day forward. Though pilots often remembered its flaws, history remembers the results. Japanese power broken, the Pacific reclaimed, and the pathway to victory secured. From the smoke and chaos of its dives, the Helldiver left behind not just wreckage, but a new age of naval dominance that endures to this very day. For all its achievements, the Helldiver remained a paradox in the eyes of the men who flew it. Many pilots never forgot the frustration of its early flaws. The heavy controls, the tricky carrier landings, the unnerving tendency to stall at low speeds. Some cursed it openly, swearing that the aircraft caused as much danger to its crew as to the enemy. The nickname, the Beast, stuck not because of its power, but because it demanded constant battle even from those in its cockpit. And yet, alongside that resentment was a deep, undeniable pride. The very pilots who had once doubted the Helldiver also witnessed what it could do when everything worked as intended. They saw its bombs smash through the decks of Japanese carriers, its precision dives rip into the armor of the Musashi, its relentless presence help pave the way for victory at Okinawa. They knew that, flawed as it was, this machine had played a vital role in breaking the enemy's back. For the crews, flying the Helldiver became a test of willpower as much as skill. To master it meant not only overcoming its quirks, but also proving their own resilience. That mixture of exasperation and pride stayed with them long after the war. In their memories, the Helldiver was not just a difficult airplane. It was a companion in struggle, a beast they had tamed, and in doing so, a symbol of the courage and determination that defined their generation. In the end, the Helldiver left behind a legacy far greater than the doubts that once surrounded it. More than 7,000 were built during the war, and though many were quickly retired when peace returned, their mark on history was permanent. They had proven that an imperfect machine, flown by determined men, could still alter the course of battle and help secure victory in the Pacific. Today, only a handful of Helldivers survive, restored in museums or preserved by enthusiasts who understand the story they represent. When their wings unfold and their engines roar back to life at air shows, they carry with them not just the sound of machinery, but the echoes of courage, sacrifice, and resilience. Each rivet and scar tells of missions flown under fire, of crews who wrestled with fear and fatigue, and of victories that reshaped the world. The Helldivers' true legacy is not measured only in ships sunk or bombs dropped, but in what it symbolized, the ability of free men to take on impossible challenges and prevail. It stands as a reminder that greatness is not always born perfect, but forged in trial, error, and determination. For those who lived through those years, and for all who inherit the freedom bought by their struggle, the Helldiver remains a lasting emblem of grit, sacrifice, and ultimate triumph,